Welcome to the latest edition of Kernels Cornfield. No huss, no halls, no shucks. News with a dash of commentary to spice up your fare for Monday, July 21st, 2014. What happens next? The other day, the events of the world began to encroach upon my personal space, disrupting the serenity I usually feel inside Mark's den. Those events took over my thoughts. I had to record what was happening inside my mind. It seems like all around me, the world is burning. Those thoughts I shared prompted a follow-up article from fellow CNN reporter Takamine 69, Another Day in Paradise, Part 2. Today, after a weekend of bombardment of news about the shooting down of Malaysian Flight 17, I begin to hear a faint echo of another time. This led me to wonder if this is a lead-up to entanglement. Higher calling? Was it a higher calling which inspired two young American men to leave the relative safety and security of life in the U.S. of A. to volunteer in service to the Israeli Defense Force? If it was a higher calling, it led to the two young men becoming martyrs for the nation they died to defend. Over the weekend, these two young men lost their lives in the Israeli incursion into Gaza to halt the aggression of Hamas and stop the rockets being lobbed into the Jewish state. Not me. That appears to be what Russian President Vladimir Putin is trying to convince the world concerning the brutal downing of Flight 17, which resulted in the death of 298 people. Putin, his deputies, and Russian media are doing their best to deflect any blame the Russian Federation may have in shooting down the commercial airliner. As if taking cues from Moscow, even the rebels, in alliance with Russia in eastern Ukraine, are blaming the Ukrainian government in Kiev for the disaster. Grudgingly, the rebels are allowing access to the downed aircraft and recovery of the bodies of those who were killed. A CNN ORC poll over the weekend found that 56% of Americans believe that the rebels shot down Flight 17. Another 24% are leaning that way. But only 1 in 10 Americans want the U.S. to respond militarily if it turns out that Russia was complicit and responsible for the crime. In the meantime, rebel forces have agreed to allow Malaysian inspectors to recover the bodies of those killed and to turn over the black boxes to Malaysian authorities. According to CNN's Phil Black, that is happening now. Added protection. Expanding upon 2 executive orders of his predecessors, President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965 prohibiting discrimination based on race, religion, gender, or nationality, and President George W. Bush in 2002 amending the order to add exemption for religious groups, President Barack Obama today added gender identification to protected classes which may not be discriminated against in hiring practices by the federal government and government contractors. In 1969, President Richard Nixon barred discrimination based on race, religion, gender, nationality, age, or disability. President Bill Clinton added sexual orientation. Today, the president added gender identity. The order only applies to the federal government and employers contracted by the federal government. Border crisis. Tired of waiting on the federal government to act, Texas Governor Rick Perry announced today he is sending 1,000 members of the Texas National Guard to the border where nearly 60,000 children have landed on U.S. soil, primarily from Central America, in recent months. Texas Governor with sights set on the White House in 2016 is also calling on President Obama and Congress to hire an additional 3,000 Border Patrol agents to replace the guardsmen down the road. Keeping pot at home. Coloradans may have voted to allow recreational use of marijuana, but they don't want people smoking at the corner watering hole. According to the Piac of University Poll, citizens of the Mile State also don't want concert goers lighting up and puffing on a joint either. In other words, if you got 'em, don't smoke 'em unless you are at home or in members-only pot clubs. That's with a B. A Florida jury over the weekend awarded the plaintiff $23.6 billion in damages after successfully winning a suit in which she claimed that R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company was responsible for the death of her husband, 36, in 1996 from lung cancer. The company has said it will appeal the award. According to the suit, the company did not disclose nicotine was addictive and smoking can cause lung cancer. The jury agreed. Death toll rises. The number of dead Palestinians is fast climbing towards 600. The number of Israeli soldiers killed stands at 25. The death toll has increased after Israel launched an incursion into the Gaza Strip to halt the launching of rockets into Israel by Hamas and to close and destroy tunnels used to launch attacks upon Israel and Israelis. Secretary of State John Kerry is meeting with UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, the Egyptians, Kuwaitis, Qataris, and others in Egypt to work out a ceasefire between the warring camps. In case you missed it, Climate Central is saying that the world's oceans were the hottest they have ever been since record-keeping began in 1880 during the month of June. In fact, the oceans were warmer than any month ever. The average temperature of the oceans in June, 62.65 degrees. Grateful Nation salutes. Former Army Sergeant, Staff Sergeant Ryan Pitts was awarded the nation's highest military honor today. Pitts, an Afghanistan veteran, was given the Medal of Honor in a ceremony at the White House by President Obama. Pitts, in humility, called on the nation not to remember his name, but that of his 9 fallen comrades in arms who lost their lives in one of the most ferocious battles in Afghanistan. Sergeant Pitts, I, along with the rest of your fellow Americans, salute you for your sacrifice and service. That's what caught my attention for Monday, July 21st, 2014. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of Kernels from the Cornfield. I'm Mark Ivy. Good evening.